This gecko's previous owner accepted he will simply be blind for life. This issue is a new one to me, even though I've cared for over 100 leopard geckos, but I think his vision can be saved, so let's save it. Right now. The first step is identifying what caused this issue, and I have 3 theories. Basically, leopard gecko pink eye, but he's apparently had this issue for a while, and I feel infection would have spread to other parts of his body by now, making this unlikely. Snakes have eye caps that come off with their skin, which if left on, absolutely can blind them. But lizards have eyes like us. So how could shed possibly get stuck? This is why I'm skeptical, because of all the geckos with stuck shed I've had, it's always on their toes, tail, nose, and sometimes eyelids. But shed getting lodged in their eyes just seems very unlucky. I did receive this gecko with stuck shed as well. There were multiple layers on some parts of his toes, but he was surprisingly cooperative and only bit me once. So shout out young geck. Shout out my nigga gecky. Or old, I don't know how old he is. Left on their toes long enough, and stuck shed will kill limbs. I still think about a leopard gecko I got years ago, where all 20 of his toes were gone because the previous owner just left the shed on there and all of his toes fell off. And the enclosure for this leopard gecko was the perfect storm for stuck shed. It featured an unregulated heat bulb and ceramic heat emitter, which notoriously dry out enclosures. Sometimes that's what you want, but my home's humidity is already just 40%, which is fine for leopard geckos. The ceramic heat emitter lowered his enclosure's humidity to 25% and raised the temperature to 104 degrees in just 15 minutes. I'm not anti-ceramic heat emitter, but raw dogging one without a thermostat is kinda crazy. Even just this tiny bulb reached surface temperatures that exceeded the 700 degree limit of my heat gun and set my piece of paper on fire after just 10 seconds. I replaced it with a radiant heat panel and thermostat, which helps me safely achieve the exact temps I want, and it can't light paper on fire. So ultimately, while I can't yet rule out shed as this gecko's problem, I'm putting money on the third theory, which is vitamins. Beta carotene is what your body converts into vitamin A, which your eyes, okay, this is gonna get technical, but I swear it's genuinely interesting. But just to be safe, hit me with some clash, please. Beta carotene is what your body converts into vitamin A, which your eyes use to create the rhodopsin it needs to convert photons into electrical signals. I don't know why I'm milking a cow. Those signals go to your brain, and then you can see stuff. This is why orange vegetables are good for your eyes, because beta carotene is orange. Not enough vitamin A will literally blind you, and this goes for leopard geckos as well, but it's more complicated because omnivores, like us, and herbivores use our livers and our intestines to create BCO1, which is the beta carotene oxygenase enzyme. Is this interesting? I think it's kind of interesting because we also have cecums, and I really like the word cecums, but it's this sac in our intestine that processes plant matter. Leopard geckos can't process plant-derived sources of vitamin A because they only eat bugs, they're insectivores, which means they don't have freaking cecums in their intestines. They also can't make the enzyme, so they need pre-processed vitamin A. For some reason, some leopard gecko care guides say to supplement vitamin A with plants. Vitamin A. A leopard gecko is not going to eat collard greens. And B, even if you shove a collard down his throat, he's not going to be able to digest it. It's just going to clog him up and he might die. And so we have a whole niche subset of products made specifically to get your reptiles vitamins, like Herptovite. But oh wait, it's plant-derived beta carotene. Which means even the most well-meaning, well-educated leopard gecko owners that are just trying to do their best can make a very simple mistake that results in your animal's eyeballs freaking looking like this. Like, just when you think you've got it all figured out, you're pouring your heart and soul to do the best you can for your little geck. And now I have to come along and right hook you. That was a very gay punch. I have to come along and be like, actually you're using the wrong reptile multivitamin for your leopard gecko. Now you have to go spend money on the other one. At least that's how I would feel if I was sitting at home with my leopard gecko watching the video and this little dumb loser on the internet is telling me that I'm doing everything wrong. I'm sorry. It's kind of like supplements in the human world. Like, many people live long, healthy lives without taking pills, but other people have poor diets or health conditions that require them to supplement with something. Like, I love Togi. I love his videos, but I'm not buying his brain stack for $60 a month. But if my doctor ever says my blood work looks bad, I'll supplement according to his recommendations. You can do routine blood work for reptiles as well. But I'll be honest, if I did blood work for 150 leopard geckos, I would be $37,000 in debt. Just give a multivitamin. Just as a little treat. You can have some too. I don't know if it's human safe, but I'm not gonna stop you. It's only like $3, a container will last you a year, and it's easy to use. So just think of it as gecko insurance for 25 cents a month. But Reptivite, not Herptivite. I hate reptile branding, but which one? Which do I buy? With D3 or without D3? If you care, pause the screen. So as long as your gecko's eyes don't look like this guy, you don't have to panic. I just think it's very interesting that the previous owner did have this gecko like this, and he was like, well, I guess he's just going blind. So if your gecko's eyes do look like this, you should be panicking, honestly. Like, freak the f out, cause a huge ruckus, now's the time. Have a little crash out. But if you can't or don't want to, or you can't afford it, whatever, or your gecko or whatever reptile is fine, but you just can't keep him anymore, go to herp.club. And yeah, your snake can just eat the same rat his whole life and live long and die happy and prosper or whatever. So why is it supposedly required to give leopard geckos a man-made powder? You don't go to Afghanistan and see God sprinkling powder on bugs for wild geckos. Well, for starters, lifespan and quality of life are generally higher in captive animals versus wild animals, or at least they can be if it's done well. Thanks to man-made things, or woman-made things, shout out my girl bosses, like medicine and surgery. Like, parasites are normal in wild animals, but if your captive animal has parasites, I personally would recommend that you try to kill the parasites. But also, wild leopard geckos eat a wide variety of insects, and those insects eat a wide variety of nutritious foods. Freaking worms have gastric cecas, similar to our cecums, but leopard geckos don't. El gecko, what is even the point of these? But that means the bugs can do some of the nutrient processing, and then the gecko can mooch off the bug and take advantage. To an extent, it's still not nearly as good as a multivitamin, but let's take a leopard gecko owner who goes above and beyond. He has a wide assortment of bugs, and he raises the bugs on a variety of nutritious foods. Bug eat food, gecko eat bug, now gecko full of nutrients. Imagine if you ate gecko, you'd be so healthy. But don't eat gecko. And each bug has its own intrinsic qualities. But even then, bugs still don't really have much preformed vitamin A. If in theory, you could feed your leopard gecko beef, or even better, beef liver, because cows have very big cecums, and the liver is where the BCO1 enzyme is stored, so it's just full of preformed vitamin A, then your gecko would get a bunch of retinol, which is exactly what he needs for his retinas. Hey, whoa, that's crazy. But there aren't any feeder insects comparable to cows. And most people don't do this. They go to the store, buy one species of bug, and whoever bred that bug for sale probably just fed it nutritionless calories. So to go above and beyond, buy a variety of insects for your pet, give those insects a variety of nutritious foods that are non-toxic to reptiles, or simplify it, buy some sort of powder gut load, and then give them some hydration, a source of water. And this might sound complicated, but it's as simple as just buying a different bug every so often. It won't kill your gecko if you don't. I mean, this gecko specifically was living entirely on non-gut loaded, vitaminless superworms, and he doesn't look that bad. And the owner did use calcium supplements, which helps offset the 1:12 calcium to phosphorus ratio that superworms have. I'm kidding. Okay, that's a whole other topic. But I will say, this gecko actually got so much calcium that he couldn't use it all, and he started storing it in his armpits, which is very random. But the same way, like if you eat too much food, you store fat in parts of your body. For some reason, leopard geckos store extra calcium here. I don't know why they do that. Well, I was wrong. It stuck shed. So you sat through a whole lecture on micronutrients for no reason. The vet cleaned up his eyes, gave him some ointment, and I decided to wait on blood work until we do 7 days of putting goop in his eyes. If he still looks like ass, then I'll get blood work, and we can squirt whatever vitamin he needs directly into his bloodstream, aka injections. Vitamin injections. Yeah. And after 24 hours of his first goop, I almost said gooning. 24 hours after his gooping, he already looks a lot better. An interesting side note is there was a $10 charge to soak him in water, which I didn't know was a thing. Now I'm wondering if like next time if I could bring him pre-soaked or something to save $10. Oh. Or bring my own water from home, perhaps. It was just regular water. A lot of people soak their reptiles on a usual basis, but I'm not a soaker. I'm not Mormon. I only do it in specific scenarios like stuck shed or at the recommendation of a vet before putting goop in his eyes for 7 days. I'm curious if any of you are like me, where if you talk about or think about eyes too much, your eyes start watering. So just know, if you started tearing up watching this, not because you're sad, but just because there's eyeballs, I've been producing tears the entire time I've been editing this video. For day 3 of eye goop, I decided to place him in boiling water. Not really, but when I speed up the footage of him walking around, it kind of looks like he's being tortured. I did not film day 4, but on day 5 he started shedding. I didn't want to disrupt him, but I did anyway, and he didn't seem to mind. Many reptiles will be in fight or flight mode after being molested like this, and as a result, they won't eat until calming down. But he's so weirdly docile, I was curious, and he just immediately started eating. I checked back the next morning, and all his shed was gone. It's just so weird to me that shed actually got lodged in his eyes. But the thing is, reptiles and amphibians are freaks. Imagine aliens come to visit Earth, and they discover toads swallow with their eyes. Like, toads lick up food, and then use their eyeballs to push it down into their stomach. That's disgusting. Why do they do? And while geckos don't swallow with their eyeballs, they can like weirdly suck them into their head pretty good. Like to the guys out there. Speaking of balls, like you get in a cold pool and they just like... So it's possible this gecko was just doing some freak shit with his eyes and got really unlucky with shed getting stuck in there. Although it does seem to be common with redditors as well, so I guess we're not alone here. My initial assumption was based on the lizards I've received that fell victim to various nutrient deficiencies. Aside from parasites, this was the most prevalent issue upon arrival. From metabolic bone disease to vitamin E deficiency, this gecko's massive head was kinda cute, but he was slowly dying, and hypovitaminosis A in leopard geckos is most noticeable in their eyes. But during his second appointment, which was today, this exotic vet said that stuck shed like this is the most common issue she personally handles in leopard geckos. And unfortunately, even after 2 lengthy appointments, he still has some in there. A 3rd round of removal is on the calendar, but this is already a positive conclusion in many ways. His vision will be saved, he can eat and move around without assistance, and he no longer seems to be in constant distress. And it's a good reminder of the consequences of slacking on temperature and humidity. My channel's been almost entirely membership funded for over 2 years, but now I'll use the funds to turn more sad animals into happy ones. Reptiles that need new homes, including the specific leopard gecko, once he's all healed up, won't be available to anyone except Herp Club members. And if you're just here for content and the Discord community, you'll get the regular channel perks I offer. So if you decide to become part of Herp Club, or you've supported me prior to now, I very much appreciate it and hope to share a lot more with you ASAP.